Good evening and a very warm welcome to you all. My name is Nthabiseng. I am the proud owner of Money Relations. I am a business owner, I'm a financial coach, I'm a parent, and I am a lover of life. I have spent several years working for financial departments of various listed organizations, some of the most successful and well-known organizations in South Africa. And I am regularly invited to speak on various media platforms on personal finance matters. I am respected and invited to speak and to share my insight, my perspective, and my expertise on personal finance matters. And honestly, I think they recognize the deep passion that I have for this topic. Today's topic is especially personal. One of the reasons I started Money Relations was to do my part in breaking generational poverty, in breaking generational poverty mindset, and in learning personally and in sharing that knowledge with others on how to build and preserve generational wealth. So today's topic is personal, and it is actually one of our most popular topics based on the registration that we've received. And for me, the high registration numbers tells me that South Africans are building. South Africans have a desire to change, to break poverty cycles. South Africans have a desire to preserve and to build generational wealth. And it is incredibly inspiring to see so much interest in this topic. We ran a poll on the topic, and one of the concerns that came through, in fact, two of the highest responses on the question, what is your concern with regards to your finances? What it revealed, the answers revealed to us that individuals are interested in wealth preservation, and individuals are interested in making the necessary lifestyle and cash flow changes to enable them to build and preserve generational wealth. Today's guest is going to tackle these very concerns. I'm absolutely honored and pleased to welcome our guest today, Mr. Ben Cebisa. Ben has a wide and relevant experience. He holds an MBA, he holds a BTech in internal audit. He sits on the board of a dental council. He is an author of a financial literacy book called Financial Literacy 101, A South African Perspective. He currently works as a risk consultant. So if there's anybody who can help us minimize the risk associated with property, associated with trusts, associated with building wealth, Ben is our man. Mr. Ben, a very warm welcome to you. We are really looking forward to engaging with you, learning from you, and building our personal generational wealth. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Nthabiseng. Welcome to everybody. My name is Ben Cebisa. I'm here to teach you about wealth protection. Most of my time I spend doing property coaching and courses, but today I'd like to tackle the issue of structuring in relation to wealth protection. Those are my contacts and my social media handles. Next slide, Tyson. Next slide. Nthabiseng. Right. Thank you very much. On your screen, normally when we teach our people in terms of property and legacy, we advise them to have family trust and also to have what we call a property holding trust. Over and above, they must have a property holding company. And below in that property holding company, that's where they keep their properties that they normally use as for rental income. Over and above that, we try to say to them, they must never have anything in their personal name. So no assets, no liabilities in their personal name. Instead, the founders of the trust will stand surety for this company. So anything that has to do with the bond for the new houses that they are acquiring under the new company, they will stand surety for it. In the event that the company fails to pay the bond, then they will step in. So in this way, you control everything, but basically you own nothing. We encourage them to start with a donation to the family trust, to the donation of up to 100K per member. So if it's a couple, it's 100K each. The husband will contribute 100K and the mommy will contribute 100K. These also assist in terms of ensuring that there's continuity in the event that one of the parties passes away. Because when you pass away, we freeze your estate. So when you have a trust, you actually make sure that there's continuity, the children get school fees can be paid, and so on and so on. Because it takes 2 years for somebody's estate to be winded up if it's a properly structured estate. What do you mean by a properly structured estate? It's when we know where to get what when you die. So we advise couples and families to always in the house have what you call an estate file. In the estate file, you'll have all your bank accounts, confirmation letters in there. You have all the vehicle financing confirmation letters. You'll have all the properties that you own, the bonds and so on in there. So that when you pass away, your children can hand it over to a legal practitioner and they will be able to start with the winding up of the estate. So what normally happens in a lot of couples, they pass on, and it's during the process of cleaning the house, it's only then that we find out that, oh, there's a insurance for this, there's what, there's what. So we really discourage that. We encourage couples to ensure that they communicate, they have communication open on matters of finance so that the other party can know where to find what when the other one is no more. So this is the structure. You can also exchange loans between the property holding trust and the family trust. When you send money from this side to this side, it is tax-free. It's not taxable because loans are not taxed, right? That's why Elon Musk doesn't own anything. Instead, he borrows money from banks and uses his stocks from Tesla as surety. And you can also transfer money when there's money in the family trust to the property holding trust. The shares of the property company are held by the trust. Very, very important. So that you are able to take life cover for you as a couple, but the life cover must be paid for by the property holding company. Do not pay for the life cover individually, because once you pay it individually, it will not be exempted from the estate. Very important. And then you are able also to put anything that you've paid up into this family trust. Anything that is paid up, you can put it here. Your house that is paid up, hide it this side. Artwork that is paid up, hide it this side. Your yard, the boat that you've paid up that is there at the artist, you must hide it this side. When you start the family trust, you must explicitly tell your legal advisor to, on the trust funding document, it's called the deed of trust, ensure that it specifically state that this trust, which is a family trust, doesn't stand surety for anything. But the property holding trust, in the deed of trust, you are able to say it can stand surety for the property holding company, right? That way you ensure that you isolate the risk to be between these two holdings, right? Here you can also register your children, your husband as a beneficiary, and so on. Your children, you can pay them their allowance from the family trusts, because at least when you push money to your children, that way you can say, okay, I'll pay your school fees from the family trust. And then you pay to the children. The children, when they are not working, they are tax rate is 18%, right? And they can transfer the money from their personal account to the school or the school of your choice. So basically, this is very important in terms of wealth protection. It ensures continuity in families to avoid the issue that we are the only nation when somebody dies, we start from scratch. The other nations, white people and so on, they have all this figured out, right? Because they don't believe in hiding matters of finance. Because we have those beliefs that, my wife will kill me once she knows how much money she stands to benefit, which is not normally the case. Because now I am making my dependents to suffer while they're busy looking after my estate. There will be no money to pay for the rates. There will be no money to pay for the levies. That's why you end up seeing all those posters on the road where they say estate, deceased estate. You find that it's those kind of issues. Very important that you should grow your money. You must protect your money. And how do you do that? You grow your money and you protect your money through life cover. Life cover plays a very pivotal role in ensuring that in your estate there's always liquidity, because a lot of people, they die with an asset rich estate but liquidity zero. Liquidity, we mean cash. So whenever you're going to acquire an asset, always be in consultation with your insurance company, Liberty Life or whoever, and say to them, I've just acquired another asset for 600,000. Can you also increase my insurance to be equivalent to that, so that in the event that I die, the insurance can settle my debt, and then I'll be able to transfer the asset to my children tax-free. So that's what I wanted to bring to the attention of the House today. You can go to the slide number 5. Next slide. Next slide, Tabitha. Number 5. The family trust, like I explained in the beginning, it holds your lifestyle asset, your house, your car, but it must be fully paid. And to trigger or to fund the family trust, you must start with a donation of 100K. Anything above 100K a year, it will trigger a tax event. And it may lend money to the holding trust and avoid placing debt into this trust. What do we mean by that? A car that is still owed by a West Bank, you must not put it in this trust. Is to preserve the family lifestyle and the family asset. And you can use the trust to also pay school fees for your children. Right? Next. The family trust also can receive the loans, right? And can also own the property company. But this helps to provide separation between family and business assets. It's very, very important. What kills a lot of black companies, it's the inability of the owners to distinguish money meant for business and money meant for personal use. You would find that the entrepreneurs, they struggle with this part, whereby they will take money from their business account, fly around to Dubai and so on, and come to the point where they have to go on site and see what is it that they've tendered for. They're unable to buy machinery and so on. So you need to constantly be vigilant, draw a salary as an individual in a company to avoid this issue of mixing business expenditures with personal expenditure. We find people paying school fees from their business account. It's not allowed. Business, the legal entity, and you are an entity on your own. Also, you must draw a salary to avoid such, because every time we ask them for 3 months bank statement, we find that they've got tops liquor swiping there Friday night and so on. That's when we see that this one we can't borrow money to them, because really they are unable to manage their personal cash flow. The key role of the holding trust is to manage your investment flow. Next slide. right? I've alluded to this one in the beginning that you must build reserves for between 10 to 15% of the market value of the property, especially if you are going to be doing rental properties. A lot of times we find that you have emergencies that you didn't budget for. They call you and say property A, there's a burst pipe, you must send out a plumber and so on. So if you don't have cash reserves there, you will struggle really. You can't constantly borrow money to go and service day-to-day operations. You generate your rental income from the property company, and you require strong governance. By strong governance, we say people like us, the auditors and your accountants and so on, to keep you in line, right? And this will help, the purpose is to help you to grow your family wealth. Next. Tax matters. If you find yourself that you want to start this journey of property investing, but you already have assets or houses in your name, you are able to use Section 42 of the Income Tax Act to request that they do an asset for share transaction swap. So instead of, if you've got 5 houses that you want to put in the property holding a company, instead of you starting the process again, going to a conveyancer, you are able to say to your accountant, can you please use Section 42, which I'm swapping the assets for shares in this particular 5 houses so that I can move them into the property holding company. That way you avoid paying the transfer costs and all those things, right? So that's the importance of Section 42. We find a lot of people, they've already started this journey, and later they realize that, but I already have 10 houses, but they're in my personal name. So how can I move them, and what are the financial implications? So to avoid the cost associated with that, you ask your accountant to use Section 42, and they do a asset for share swap, right? Very, very important, because a lot of times the reason why we try to use property holding company is so that we can bypass the NCR. The National Credit Regulator says only 30% of your gross must be used towards the purchase of a house. So that's why you find a lot of black people, they only have their first house that they bought when they started working, and the second house maybe later in mid-career. Then that's it. They never go beyond owning 3 or 4 or 5 properties. It's because they are buying the properties in their personal name. Whereas other races, they use property holding companies, they use trusts and so on in order to bypass the system. So if you find yourself that you're already in, that you don't have money to raise funds, you can use this section to transfer all those properties that are in your name into the property holding company without incurring any cents from your side, right? Next. Next slide. You must always remember there's something called capital gains tax. Capital gain tax, it's payable when the profit for the house that you are selling exceeds 2 million. Anything that you're going to be selling in excess 2 million, you're going to pay a capital gains tax. So we must advise you, if indeed you are going to be buying houses using a property holding company, this is not applicable to you, because this 2 million profit is only applicable to a natural person and also applicable to the primary residence. But if you are in our journey like us in the property investing, then you will forfeit this benefit in terms of capital gain tax exemption. This is very important to understand that when you are moving houses from your name into the property holding company, later you can say you want to claim this exemption of 2 million on profit capital gains tax, because the company is not regarded as a natural person. Next. I've just alluded to this is just a breakdown to say for capital gain, they look at issues such as improvements of the property. They also take into account the real estate agent commission, the cost of compliance certificates, and other legal fees that must be paid as part of the sales transaction. But they will not look at your day-to-day, your plumbing issues, your maintenance issues, or warranty. No. Right, next slide. Right. Right. This is the slide, the breakdown of what I was explaining in the previous slide. If your original purchase price is 2.5 million and the agent's commission is 200,000, renovation cost is 400, selling price is 4 million. The base cost will be 2.5 million, which is the original price, plus 200,000 agent's commission, plus 400,000 for renovation, and then it will give you 3.1. That will be your total cost. Then profit will be 4 million, which is the selling price, minus the cost, base cost. The profit is 900 million. It doesn't come anywhere close to 2 million. So this capital gain tax, it will be zero on this house. But if this figure was above 2 million, let's say 2.5 million, then the 500,000 would have been taxed. Thank you. Next slide. Oh, all these things are explained in my book that I wrote recently, Financial Literacy, the South African Perspective. It will be out in mid-November. Next slide.
Yeah, that's the last one.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm ready for questions.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much, Ben. Thank you. Let's see if there are any questions in the chats. So when people were registering, they actually submitted a few questions. So if there are no questions in the chats, then I will immediately go to some of the questions that were submitted. Okay, so Sylvia says, what if my business needs me to buy wines and grocery for the events I'm hosting for clients? Am I still not allowed to swipe with the business card?
Okay. That one it's allowed because your line of business is in that department. What I mean here is people who will take their business account and go and use it somewhere where it's not supposed to be used. Example will be to take I'm in the property business. I've got no business going to Tops and using my business account there to go buy alcohol. But my accountant expects me to go to Cash Build, to go to other hardwares to swipe there, because it's in line with my line of business. Your line of business sounds like it's more in the entertainment sector and so on. So that one is allowed. You are able to entertain client, and if you are into the deco and what business, you are able to swipe there and claim there to say this was for deco that I was doing for my customer and so on. What we're against is people who are in the security business, for example. They'll take that company card on Friday night. They'll go to Tops and swipe and drink the alcohol, whatever. That's why we ask you for 6 months bank statement. We want to see. We know within 6 months we would have forgotten that I once used my card. I didn't have cash on me. I see Ms. Ndlovu saying something. What is the advice on single parent?
Hi, if I may come in.
Yes, please.
For someone that's single, no children, and you've got about 2 or 3 rental properties that you bought to take care of you in retirement. What's the best financial advice for this person? Like, do you keep the properties, transfer them into a trust, then you'll just leave it to whoever you want to leave it to in the family? Or what's the ideal investment vehicle that you can give to this person?
Thank you very much. That's a very brilliant question. Look, my advice, I'm always biased towards trusts, but it depends on whether this journey, are you going to continue with it or 3 and that's it, right? Uphelele lapha ku-3 or uzoqhubekeka. Me, I'm pro trust. Why I like trust? Because they are the best vehicle for wealth preservation. When there is a trust, there's continuity. To avoid these things that we see on national television of Kugitila, where people fight for your assets when you are no more. When you've put them in a trust, you are able to say in the trust deed. The trust deed is like a constitution, a funding document, how you want the items or assets to be taken care of, and who must benefit from the assets. Yes, there will be transfer fees, Ms. Ndlovu, if you want to transfer it into a trust. But hang on, before you go to that, first you need to sit down with your financial advisor to advise you, or your legal advisor. But you can also use that section 42, right? You are able to use section 42 to bypass the transfer fees and put them in a trust, in an asset for a swap. You swap your ownership of an asset for shares.
Okay. Tertia says thank you. Sylvia asked another question. She says, can I pay my child's school fees with the business and claim it as a bursary? Since I think businesses do give bursaries, is it best to open a foundation, transfer the money to that foundation account, then pay from there and claim it as CSI? She's trying to run away from SARS.
Yes, you can open a non-profit organization and transfer the money into NPO, your own foundation, your own NPO, and transfer the money there and pay it from there. Remember, there are two things in South Africa. There's tax avoidance, which is allowed. That's what you'll be doing. You'll be trying to pay as little tax as possible. And there's tax evasion. That one is illegal. That was done by the Guptas. Don't do that one. So this one, yes, we can do it if you follow the legal route. What you do, you register an NPO, and then from your business, you pay money there to the NPO, and the NPO must give you proof of certificate of donation, right? That you can use to settle with SARS. And you can pay the school fees from that side. I pay my children's school fees from my family trust because I've registered my children as employees in my family trust. So I push money into their private bank accounts, and then I take that money and pay the school fees. When I do that, the tax rate is 18% for me. But if I pay it directly, it's 45% for me. So there are so many ways of avoiding tax legally. Don't do it illegally.
Okay. Aubrey, you can go first. I see you've got a hand up, Aubrey, and then Dumelo, you can go after Aubrey.
Thank you. I just thank you, Ben, for your presentation. I just wanted to quickly ask, you mentioned for us Black people, typically, you buy one property and then mid-career you might buy a second one. That's the trend. Now, if we can use an illustration to say you've got two people, identical income, so 500,000, 500,000. One is using their personal to build their property portfolio. Then the other is using a trust. How then would they utilize the trust to have accelerated growth in their property portfolio? Can you just give us like a practical illustration?
Okay. Thank you very much, Aubrey, for the question. The guy who's using a trust, right? Let's say he's got 500,000. He can break it down to 100,000, 100K each. So it will be 100K times 5 for him, right? He is able to go to the bank and say, I would like to buy 5 properties, but I'll be putting down a down payment of 100K. I've got 500,000 at my disposal. Each and everyone I'll be depositing 100K. That guy automatically he will have plus minus 10 houses, if I may put it that way, on average, at a go by using only 500K as a deposit. Unlike the other party who's using the personal name, because the personal name is governed by the National Credit Regulator. The National Credit Regulator says if you are earning 100K, only 30% of that amount must go towards purchasing houses or bond. You see now, the other guy has got more mileage, more leverage, as opposed to the guy who's using their personal name. So that's what we try to encourage people to say, instead of using your personal name, rather register a company that is going to hold your properties, as opposed to you going to the bank and saying, I want to buy this thing using my disposable income. What is nice about a company is that it's regarded as a legal person. It's able to enter into debt on its own. And that gives you some room for you to move around in terms of debt. It helps you to use leverage, as opposed to the guy who's using their personal income or disposable income. So that's why the other races are able to own a building in Pretoria CBD, for example. And we wonder, is it possible to even own a block of flats? It's because they use the right structures as opposed to a personal income. So I sincerely advocate for trust and property holding companies, simply because I've seen them do miracles in my life. I own a portfolio of properties that I wouldn't have been able to own at my age. I'm even considering to go into property development.
Okay, thank you. Before we do move, I just wanted to ask, one of the challenges that I see with clients is clients wanting to set up a business so that they can buy property, but it's so hard for them to get credit as a company. It's so much easier for them to get credit as an individual. How can one maneuver around this?
Okay, it's a very, very good question. I advise my clients that the best way to buy property is to buy a property that is going to give you cash flow on day one. So what we mean by that is that I buy a lot of properties in Sunnyside, Pretoria. I don't know, it's equivalent to Hillbrow from those people who come from Joburg. In Sunnyside, I'm able to buy a 3-bedroom flat. And in the 3-bedroom flat, I'm able to put bunker beds, the one for children, you know, the one you have for your children in your bedrooms. I am able to put 4 bunker beds per room. And I rent out beds at 2,000 rand each. So one room gives me 8,000, another room gives me 8,000, and another room gives me 8,000. So the bond and all that, you find that I'm paying that bond, it will be equivalent of 6,000 or so. And then water and electricity is prepaid. So when they do their calculation at the bank, I present this thing as a proposal to the bank that I want to buy property Y, and here is the cash flow projection from this property. It is going to give me plus minus 24,000. And from the 24,000, it will be able to repay itself. The bank looks at the risk and they will give me the bond because I have demonstrated to them that this property will be able to sustain itself. The mistake people make is to go and buy properties in affluent areas while they are starting. I'll give you an example of what you call this thing, Midrand. They will go to Kyalami. There, we are going to be forced to do something which is called a vanilla rental. Vanilla rental is your traditional rental, where you can only put one family in the establishment. In Sunnyside, we are able to break the rules because the owners are no longer there. They are gone. The people who are there are students and foreign nationals. So in order for me to build my portfolio, I'll rather go where there is cash flow. Forget about Cape Town, forget about Airbnb and all that. Go to the township, buy an RDP house for 230,000, build a 6 room this side, 6 rooms this side, and then you are able to show the bank that this property can give me 34,000 per month. The bank, all that they want is a business proposal to them. You say, I am buying this property and I am buying it using a company, right? And this company has never traded. What they are going to ask from you is to say, are you agreeing to stand surety for this company in the event that the company fails to pay? That's how you buy a property with a brand new company. So it is possible to buy a property with a brand new company that has never traded, as long as you are able to demonstrate to the bank that the asset will be able to repay itself. That's all they want to see. They want to see the project. So a lot of people approach buying of property from an angle of not being sure, because it's a business transaction. The bank also wants to lend out money, but they want to check their risk. So if you give them comfort that the risk is minimal, then they will be able to fund your project.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ben. Okay, let's go to Dumelo.
Hi, Bitimelo.
Hi, Ben. Thanks for telling me. I actually have two questions. One is it's a follow-up question to the one that you've just answered. So you mentioned that you can buy property, like that has never with a company that hasn't traded before, as long as you can prove that that property can repay itself. Now, would the bank also look at your personal risk because you are standing as surety for that? Should the company fail to repay that the loan that they would have given you?
Okay. Thank you very much. That's a wonderful question. Yes, indeed, the company will look at your personal finances, because if you are saying you are going to stand surety for this company, they will want proof from you to one, proof of employment and your bank statements and so on. They will want that, right? Because they also want to make sure that indeed what you are saying is true, that indeed should this company fail to pay, you'll be able to pay, right? They are looking at that. Your financial habits follow you for life. Even when you die, your financial habits follow you, because they start first by saying, in your estate, is there money? If there's no money, is there life cover to cover this? There's no life cover. Then they start selling your assets off. So it's true. It is very important that you also have a clean credit record and so on, because they're gonna also check your status to say indeed. But in terms of to say you are buying a company with a new thing, with a new property with a new company, it's possible. All they need is the letter from your auditor that confirms that this company has never traded, because they don't want any other company that has traded before. Must be brand new. So you go to those people who are selling shelved companies. You say, I want a brand new company. They sell it to you. You use it in the offer to purchase. I'm signing on behalf of company XYZ, and then you go on, and they need a letter from your auditor to confirm that this company has never traded and this company is liquid in terms of its tax matters and so on. Because when you buy it from those shelf company, they always give you its tax clearance to say it's zero and all that. They just look for those compliance items. You submit it at ABSA. I prefer ABSA because at least ABSA has got a product for people like us who are into the property investing.
Okay. And my original question, and I'm sorry to take you back. Um, you mentioned something about the trust. So, opening a trust as a family. So, is the trust limited to, for instance, if I'm married in community of property, is the trust that I must open must be with my spouse, or can I open a trust with a brother, a mom, a sister, whoever else I care for, or because I'm married in community of property, then I must open it with my husband.
Thank you very much for the question. If you are married in community of property, your husband is going to be part of each and every deal that you make, any transaction. You want to start a trust, you must involve your husband because the law sees you as one. In the eyes of the law, if you are married in community of property, the law sees you as one. So you, even if you include your mother, you include your brothers, you include whoever, but part of him must also be there. Part of your share in the trust will also be. For example, you can't even surprise your husband. If you want to buy him a Mercedes, you must get his consent. Mercedes, we can't afford it. But you maybe got some windfall of 2 million somewhere, and then you want to surprise. So my advice to my clients, those who are in the universities that I go talk to them, I tell them don't marry in community of property because community of property is more disadvantageous than anything else. If I am clean as your husband and you are not looking after yourself in terms of finances, you have got poor hygiene in terms of finances, you will affect our estate. If the husband goes and makes a child out of the wedlock, then they come and garnish you and your husband to support that child. And sometimes the husband can quit his job so that he spites the lady, and indirectly they are going to come for you. So if you are going to open a trust, you have to open it. If you are opening it with your family members, you must also involve your husband. And when you open a trust, please, 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 I must emphasize, you must know what you're going to do with it. Know what you're going to do with it. Don't open a trust for the sake of opening a trust. I've seen so many black people own companies because other people have companies. And you ask them, what are you doing with this company?
But I'm learning.
Next question.
The next question is from the ones that were submitted. This individual says, how do we protect the family wealth amongst siblings when the parents are no longer alive? And how do we ensure legacy lives on? What are the types of opportunities that can assist to create wealth in one's mature age? Okay, so it's two questions. Let's start with the first one regarding siblings. How do siblings protect the family wealth?
Thank you very much. It's a problem in the black families, this thing. And I also, maybe I can't blame the parents. They didn't have the knowledge that we have, we today. Because what normally happens is that the parents will die and not have a will that clearly specify that this asset or the house, because normally they only have one 4-room house in the township. They don't specify it will belong to whom. And also the cultural beliefs comes in. In Limpopo, I know the last born child, who is a boy, is the one who is automatically deemed to inherit the house. In KZN is different. It's the firstborn boy who is going to be deemed to inherit the house. And that thing causes fights between the siblings. It is my wish that black parents can also consider having a will so that this kind of issues are addressed, because we only have one asset as black people, the 4-room house that was given to us by the apartheid government. Then you see the TV shows, people fighting for a 4-room house. It's difficult for me to advise if there was no will from the parents, because they must draft a will and say this house, this is how they want this house. They want this house to remain in the family, or they want this house to be sold so that the children can share the money and start their own journey. Because the other challenge is we have different visions as people. The other one, mali the other one, mali start a business for and so on. So this one is a bit difficult one. But what I wish for black parents is for them to have wills, so that we know that the family house is going to be distributed how and so on. If Ninga Zonang, when the mother was still alive, I don't know what will make you guys to be united when she's dead. Next question
right.
was what? The second part of the question.
Second part of the question was, what are the types of opportunities that can assist to create wealth in one's mature age?
For example, me, I'm biased because I love property. I understand property, but you can still buy RSA bonds. You buy them at the post office. They give steady income, passive. I see a lot of foreigners now are buying RSA bonds. So it means that there's something that they know that we do not know. We are only concerned with festivals. We are concerned with soccer. We are concerned with all those things. But the other people that are looking at life differently. Once it's summer for a black person, it's Masia. Where's the next Zonke concert? Where's the next what? We should start changing our outlook and try by all means to look at having investment conversations in our small corners, socials. We can't always have money and we save money for 12 months. Last month of the year, which is December, one day only, we spend all that money in its entirety. And where do we spend it? We spend it in white establishments, resorts, and all that. We don't even have our own resorts ourselves. And there's nothing stopping us from coming together and having a society, a social club for people who are investing and buying houses. I don't know. The retail bonds is one of them. You can invest in property if you are able to handle the stress, because when you start, you can't outsource everything. When you are starting, you have to do these things yourself. You have to answer the calls midnight. They tell you there's a best pipe and there's what. You have to go there, drive, and so on, so that you have a feel, you have an understanding before you can appoint a property manager, so that if they try to come and crook you, you know this business, right? But we are so keen on outsourcing everything at the beginning and taking calls while we are in main lane, right? Next question.
Okay, we have 6 minutes left. So if I can ask Aubrey, if you don't mind, unmuting yourself and asking the question that you posed in the chat. And
Just
then we
before
can-
Aubrey, there's a Sylvia there. As a doctor, how can I avoid tax? I saw it on the chat there. Sylvia?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Oh, I typed the question so that I'm not too long. But yes, how can I avoid tax but still fund my lifestyle, like traveling with my family and all that? Can I use like my overseas congresses as a way for me to attend while enjoying a vacation with my family, but use the business card? Is that allowed?
Okay, just to answer you quickly. I said there are two things in South Africa: tax evasion and tax avoidance. Yes, tax avoidance is allowed, but you must do it within the ambits of the law. Ne? You must get your financial planner, not financial advisor. Financial advisor's job is to sell you products. There's no way that you can have an engagement with a financial advisor and not sell you something. So you must see a financial planner. You get them at Allen Gray, at Coronation, at serious institutions. That's where you get. They can help you structure your company as a medical doctor and put it like your Specsavers. You see, Specsavers is a multinational. It's started by a husband and wife, right? And it's now international. So you can also do that. Run your practice in a company, not in an INC, not an incorporated, but in a proper company with a executive CEO and so on and so on. And then you are able to say, I want to take my children to Disneyland. You are able to talk to your accountant and auditor to advise you how can you go about that. Most white people, they register their companies to live in their companies. So for example, if I want to go overseas, I inform my accountants, I want to go overseas to go watch rugby. And then they say to me, okay, when you get to America, please meet with an estate agent. They must show you some properties around there. They show me some properties in Miami, Las Vegas, and so on. And then I make notes and I take minutes and I get somebody to take me a photo with my estate agent from America. And then I say to them, okay, I didn't like what I saw, but I'm there for 7 days. So this, all the work was done in day one. The rest of the 6 days, I can tour the United States. And I come back, I submit because I had a legitimate business trip. But other days, I went with my family to Disneyland and so on. So that's tax avoidance, but you must do it within the ambits of the law and you must use your company.
Okay. And then just the last question from Aubrey is, can you use your stocks or your shares as collateral to finance your property investment in South Africa?
Not in South Africa, not to my knowledge, not in South Africa. Overseas, yes, they've got a mechanism like that. In South Africa, they want your credit thingy or cash. That system doesn't work here. The Elon Musk system, or where you use your life cover to fund what, not in South Africa. But there are also discussions. They are trying to look at that to say, how can you best use the life cover to, while you're still alive, can you benefit from your life cover? So they are trying to go that route. Very, very important. Important when you have a property holding company, you must have a life cover against your life. And that life cover must be paid by the property holding company. Why? In the event that you die, it doesn't form part of your estate. The life cover pays into the company. The company can settle all the houses that you're holding, and then your children can inherit those assets free, tax free.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much, Ben. Yeah, I think that brings us, we've got 2 minutes to go. That brings us to the end of our session.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Ben. That was so informative.
Let me say the last word. What is important, the takeaway from this is that last month, it was September, they were running around and saying you must come and draft a will for free at the banks. Remember? Please, you must never, ever, ever allow the bank to be the one that is drafting your will. You must get your own lawyer and draft the will. You must nominate the person who's going to be your executor. Very important. Either you nominate your husband or you nominate your wife. Very important. But if you nominate your husband, make sure that you appoint your lawyer as an administrator of the estate, right? Because your wife doesn't know anything about matters of estate and they're still emotional. The lawyer will advise them that here we need to sell this house, here we need to sell this car. They must listen to the lawyer. If you nominate the bank puts itself first. When you die, the 3.5% of your estate goes to the bank. They haven't even paid your creditors, they haven't even paid your children. If you are a medical doctor, please make sure that you take a contingent liability insurance, very important, because sometimes you are so eager to make sure that this practice functions and you take debt and you stand surety and the practice doesn't succeed and you are left with debt. So you must buy that product called contingent liability. You must buy a buy and sell option. There's a product called buy and sell insurance. Make sure that if one of the partners in the business dies, you are able to buy their share, right? Or they become incapacitated and so on. And you must also have a key man insurance. Key man insurance, if you remember DJ somebody, the partner took life cover on him so that in the event that he dies or something happens to him, the business must continue. Then he benefited 15 million. But that is applicable to anybody who is in business. You can take key man insurance if you've got a scientist in your lab who's doing a specialized DNA work. You need to insure that person. You don't even have to inform them that you are insuring them. You insure it, it's paid for by the company. In the event that they die or resign, you're able to get somebody to replace them. That is my parting words. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ben. Thank you very much. So on the screen, you've got Ben's contact details. Please do reach out to him. He does coaching. He has a property coaching course as well. And yeah, all the details are there. And let me thank you all for being here tonight. We will have another session in November. I'll share the details on our WhatsApp group. I'll send a recording. My nephew's speaking in the background. I'll send a recording of tonight's session to anyone who wants to just go back, make additional notes, and just reflect on some of what Ben has shared with us. But yeah, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Ben. Have a great evening until we meet again. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.